And I'm here with our Mayor, Dominic King, for our regular Mayor's Report. How are you, Dominic?
I'm very well, thanks, Leo.
Yeah.
Going good.
Now, you were talking before, you were saying you've just come back from a trip to sort of compare notes with other councils and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we just went up to the Byron Shire, myself and one of the other Greens councillors, Tony Wright-Turner. Jenny Fenton was supposed to come, but she's got some deadly virus that's floating around at the moment, so she's trying to get back on her feet from that. No. So Tony and I went up for 2 nights up there, and the mayor up there, Simon Richardson, the Green mayor, he lined us up with a whole lot of people to have a chat about, and we were looking at things like new ways of development. We're looking at affordable housing.
That's a big issue, isn't it? I know.
And up there, is maybe a little bit of a window into some of the issues that we face. I mean, affordable housing up there for a 2-bedroom townhouse is $600 a week. That's affordable. So they are being hammered. People can't get rentals up there because during the Christmas period, people want to rent their place out. So a lot of teachers and nurses, I mean, their affordable housing is looking at people around $100,000. And I think the distinction between social housing and affordable housing was an interesting one as well. But there is some good architects and builders up there that are looking at ways of trying to do that, that allows people to be able to get a place, and it's a 3-year lease and things like that, so that people have some certainty. So
it's an incredible problem, because the longer it goes on, the less people will be able to even have a place to live, afford a place to rent. But it gets down, I'm thinking, basically to what the owners of the property want.
You've got to keep the speculators out.
If they want more and more and more, because that's what other people are charging, the price just goes up, then people on the fixed rate are just left. Whereas I suppose housing that was owned by an entity whose purpose was to have a certain amount of profit, not a huge amount of profit, not as much as they can make, but enough to keep the administration costs going or something like that.
You hit the nail on the head, and that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
They were saying to us, it's very much about them saying, well, we can make money off these developments, but we're not going for the ultimate. We've got to make as much money as we can out of every development. And that's what the speculators do. And sometimes if you open up more land to housing, all it does is allow those people to come in and buy all those lots up. People don't get the option to go in because they can't afford them. So these guys actually had a small house development, which was really interesting as well. So on a double block, they had 20 small houses, 2 of them with wheelchair access, and it was really interesting to see that. And the boarding house model was how they got that in the LEP. That they were saying, this is 20 rooms on a double block, but everyone had their own independent living space.
Right.
So that was great to see that actually happen.
That's all a lot of people want.
And the way that people are moving on from the sort of the multiple occupancy model is another good one. And what I saw up there was a lot more co-ops. I mean, that's what people are looking at now, a cooperative. And I know we've got a housing cooperative in Bellingen. We obviously need more of those sort of things, but also then, getting people to live on rural land and actually farm as well is a great one. So the Bruns Eco Development, we met with those guys. That's an exciting prospect. They build the houses, they own the houses, but you can have a lifelong, lease with those guys, and you buy into the co-op.
Right. That sounds fantastic.
And they're all, solar passive and really great.
So who actually owns the land? Is it the council?
No. There's a guy that owns it that's going to sell it, and the co-op will buy that. So people, when they come in, you pay $80,000 to be part of that proposal, something like that, and then they build clusters of houses on that 100-acre. Plus a whole lot of wildlife corridors and a whole lot of farmland that So the dream is you can get somewhere where you can get affordable rent, cheap food, and affordable power. And then you don't need that $1,000 to live. And so those sort of models are really exciting for us as councillors.
There's not this greed machine sucking your money up higher and higher and higher and higher all the time.
No.
It's designed so that it can be cheap for people.
And that was the scary thing about Byron, and I think, as Councillor Jenny Fenton always says, that the Byron Shire is our greatest inspiration, but also our greatest fear. And because
it's
they
a
have
cliche around here.
Yeah, and they've sort of also they've been overrun by really speculators. I mean, the beauty about us is we don't live near any massive big centres, and they live near a lot. I mean, I think the other big difference was our issues are around. Big areas of forest and national park and nature reserve that don't get rates, which means we've got a very small rate base for our infrastructure. But theirs is that they've got 3 million visitors a year, and I reckon that'd be conservative estimate. And the pressure that puts on their infrastructure, particularly sewerage and roads and stuff, is another one. Small ratepayer base. Don't know how they can manage to keep going, which is, it's the same battle that all councils are having. So I think I'd rather have the forest and national park than the 3 million visitors. So
absolutely. Most people up here have made that decision consciously, some are lucky enough to be born here, like my children, but that's why we came, to get away from that urban environment where you actually lose contact with the earth, really. And it's completely dependent on outside things to survive, food coming from outside and money then to sustain it. Yeah, and that was always, that I think with Bellingen, there was always a thing that we recognised, the opportunity to do it better and to get it right. And I still believe that that's the case, that we can... do things better in terms of growing food and getting people to and keeping the mix in our community. That's so important. That we have all different sorts of people. Where Byron's losing that, but it's a big challenge. I mean, it's a big challenge, particularly when you're trying to deal with developers and the state government has such a say now in releasing land. So the real solution to that, I feel, is that we've got to speak to the local people who want to do that stuff and say, look, it'd be great for you to do some development stuff, but hey, there's got to be a real acknowledgement that you are part of a community, and the things that you love about this community, you will spoil if you're just going to make money. You're not in the Wild West, it's open slather. You're actually in this community, the way we do it in Bellingen. Because a lot does depend on the council, doesn't it? If you had a council, it's happened, that says, go for it, boys, you know what I mean? We'll release that and that and that and that. You'll make a lot of money, and we're good mates anyway. And so the council's idea is to release land to developers so that developers can make a lot of money. Council makes a lot of money in rates. More houses, more rates. Hey, we're getting rich. Whereas that's a different proposition, of course, to saying, no, we want to keep it at a certain level. And not let it, because, when you think potentially, you could have all the way to Thora full of houses and estates going off them, and where would it stop from the highway to the mountain,
That's right, and I think it's important to make sure that you keep the integrity of your LEP, that you set aside land. We've just got to, for agriculture, but we've just got to get smarter about how we do that. And, I think the opportunities around these new MOs are fantastic, because we all know, anyone that's lived on any land, it's hard work, but if you've got a few people doing that together, it can be a really productive landscape, using permaculture models and whatever.
Better for a community too, because if you've got a whole bunch of houses in a new estate, it houses so many people. But if you can have a model, like you're saying, cooperatives and on a few acres and affordable housing and all that kind of stuff, it's using less land to accommodate the same number of people. And those people, of course, automatically you become a community. You sort of got gardens. How are you going over there? And being connected to the earth in a community with cheap housing. So I guess that's the dream, isn't it?
And I think the other bonus about that too, Leo, is then you've got people on country that are also going to look after the environment. So you have got people that are managing the riparian zones on those places. And you have got people that are making sure that there's stuff set aside for our amazing biodiversity and wildlife. So there's wins everywhere for that. And I think there's such a great opportunity for us to do that stuff. And we're really trying to get into that space where we can start to focus on those big issues. We're sort of caught up in a lot of other small stuff, or we have been at the moment. But we're trying to get some oxygen on our ideas, and that's what this trip was about. And we'll certainly be going back out and asking a lot of those people to come in and have those conversations with our community.
Yeah.
But we need people to get involved. We need people to get involved at the start, not at the end when they're unhappy about something and then start complaining.
Or wait till it happens.
Yeah,
and then that'll be good when that happens. Yeah. Then I'll go along.
Yeah. So community consultation is the toughest thing, and that's the thing that we certainly are nowhere near getting right at the moment. But we're trying to develop how we do that, and I think series of forums around these things could be a great step forward.
I reckon if you threw open the idea to people, especially in this community, about good ideas for sustainable community living, like on the cooperative model, you'd get a lot of good ideas.
Yep.
There's been a lot of experiments out here, as you know.
Yep.
Some of them successful, some of them not quite. You know what I mean? There's a lot of knowledge base of what's possible with communities and stuff like that, and I would find that very exciting, because up till now the only other answer is more estates at the edge of town, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm actually delighted that even though I can remember paddocks that are now estates, Bellingen's still got the same kind of character. There's more people in it, it's hard to get a park, but it does have that same sense of this is our community, and I guess, of course, you're wanting to make sure that stays that way. And I've always thought that, it must have a limit to growth. Otherwise, it'll be one urban centre from
no, that's right.
coast to mountain.
I think that is the danger. And but the other thing is, people have got to be fair dinkum about their approach too, and they've got to make sure that they're getting the facts, not. That's always the scary thing is, you get a whole lot of stuff thrown around, and you need to really be smart about, what you're accepting as being the truth. I think, you've got to make sure that you're doing the research yourself and looking at those options, because that's what we need. We need the community to be bringing stuff to us as well, but it's got to be stuff that's, that's got some basis to it.
Yeah.
Here's an example of something that's happening in Melbourne. Could we do that here? Or here's something that's happening, in Tasmania or Spain for that matter.
Exactly, yeah.
Is there a way that we can work that in? And that's the sort of feedback we need, rather than, I think you guys are, not doing this or not doing that, or, whatever. And I think, it's, look, they're exciting times, but they're also going to be challenging times. But, we certainly, as councillors, the Green councillors, and I know the other councillors as well, are, trying to do the best for the community and finding ways through. And there's so many extra pressures on us now, whether it be blueberries or development or or mining or whatever for that matter. We as a community need to be strong and united, but base our conversations around fact.
Yeah, for sure. And like you were saying, that cooperative model, if you lay out a model and say, well, these are the plans for the houses, this is the way it will all work, it's pretty well ready to go, isn't it? It's not jumping into the dark.
And looking at these guys' models, they're fantastic. They do a series of 5, I think they do 5 weekend workshops. So they really make sure that the people that are moving on to those communities have a real great idea of what they're doing. But also I think the cooperative model allows that, like sometimes you can get I think some of the failures with MOs in the past have been, one person can mean that the whole thing comes unstuck. And these are much more, that hey, you're part of something, And I think one of the great things that I got out of that is, the great Australian dream of owning your own house. Maybe that's, maybe the dream should be that that you have the opportunity to live somewhere all your life for as long as you like. That European model where you're saying, well, I haven't got a mortgage, which is great, but I know that I can live in this house for as long as I need to, and I know I can move into another house if I want to. So it's about trying to get those cooperative models that are happening all over the place, so that you can some sections of that community we need to help more than others, and when we do that together, then we are able to provide more social housing. So.
Yeah, well, the exciting thing is too, models like that work become examples for other communities, and then it can spread like a good virus or something.
That's great.
Well, I'd like to focus on the excitement anyway, Dominic, of the prospect of that sort of thing, and That's great. So it sounds like a very inspiring visit to see what other people are doing.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll certainly be back. And, that's the stuff we're looking for. We're looking for inspiration and, we're not looking for... We've got enough negative stuff going on in our lives, we're looking for, like you say, I mean, they're the things that get us up in the morning every day, is that you go, right, we need to find new ways of doing things, and it's a big challenge, but hey, if anyone can do it, it's this community.
Oh, absolutely, and it's the reverse of a lot of issues that some councils have. It's like you can't really argue with a sort of a semi-rural model of affordable housing.
Yeah.
It's not like saying a supermarket's going to set up in town, or the council's going to let them,
That's right.
No, you don't. It's sort of a bit of a no-brainer that the models that you're suggesting would be good for a community.
And actually,
really
probably one thing I did forget as well is that those models also allow for lots of micro businesses and opportunities for people to to sort of get involved in growing food and value adding and all those sort of things as well. So that those models are global. The Bruns Eco one is one of the best that I've seen, but it's not the only one. And let's refine them. They're never going to be perfect, but. Let's get them right, and let's get them in here. I reckon.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Dominic. We'll probably better leave it there, or we could keep talking forever, but I know you've got a meeting to do.
Yeah.
I've got stuff to do. Well, thanks, mate, and we'll have another chat in about a fortnight or so.
Always a pleasure, Leo.
Yeah, cheers.
Okay, see ya.